Hello and welcome to my weekly Linux news, 11th February 2018. So first off, KDE Plasma 5.12 released. Plasma 5.12 LTS is the second long-term support release, following version 5.8 LTS, released at the end of 2016. Since this is an LTS release, the Plasma 5 team focused on stability improvements, as well as offering Wayland integration for the first time on long-term support. That said, there are also some performance gains as a result of refactoring code that was blocking execution. And finally, let's check some of the new features. Wayland-only night color feature that lets you adjust the screen color temperature to reduce eye strain. This is just like Redshift but built-in into Plasma, just like for instance GNOME 3 does. Usability improvement for the global menu. KRunner can now be completely used with on-screen readers such as Orca. Notification text is selectable again and allows you to copy links from notifications. The weather applet can now show the temperature next to the weather status icon on the panel. Well, this is quite a basic feature and it should have been there for a longer time. Clock widget's text is now sized more appropriately. System activity and system monitor display per process graphs for the CPU usage. As you can see on this picture, each process now shows its CPU usage. Well, I've seen this for a long time on GNOME as well, so it surprises me a little bit that it took this long to see this on Plasma. Windows shadows are horizontally centered and larger by default. The Properties dialog now shows file metadata. The icon applet now uses favicons for website shortcuts. The Kickoff application menu has an optimized layout. Next up, Mate 1.20 released. This is essentially a bug-fixing and stability-oriented release from the Mate developers. Mate started as a fork of GNOME 2 and was widely adopted by distro flavors targeting a classic desktop environment, but has been progressively adding new features that make it stand out as a viable alternative for all sorts of users. This version was no exception, so let's have a look at some of the changes. Mate Desktop 1.20 supports high DPI displays with dynamic detection and scaling. Marco now supports GRI3 and X-Present if available. And there's also drag to quadrant window tiling now. This is quite a useful feature, especially if you like tiling window managers. Support for global menu. Bookmarks now support GTK3 locations. Artrail, the document viewer, has had a massive overhaul. Mate themes have seen significant improvements. And to wrap it up, VLC 3.0 released. Yay! I guess everyone will enjoy this one, especially because this is the first major release of the popular media player since the release of version 2 of VLC 6 years ago. So, without further ado, let's see the highlights. VLC 3.0 activates hardware decoding by default to get 4K and 8K playback. This is probably the greatest feature of this release, especially for those that have ultra high definition displays. It supports 10 bits and high dynamic range, although this one only applies to Windows 10. VLC supports 360 video and 3D audio. It allows audio pass-through for HD audio codecs. It can stream to Chromecast devices, even in formats not supported natively. This is quite interesting too. It can play Blu-ray Java menus. And finally, VLC supports browsing of local network drives. That's it, guys. If you'd like to watch more videos like this one, please consider hitting the subscribe button below. As always, use Linux long and prosper.